Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today, I'm going to be breaking down Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. But before I get into that, is it just me, or is this fight not getting the hype and the attention it deserves? Obviously, the hardcores are talking about it. Obviously, the major MMA publications are talking about it. But as far as the general excitement, the electricity, the buzz from the community, I'm just not seeing it. I was checking through Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and it's just not really there. And to me, this is easily the best main event non-pay-per-view in 2025. It's got former pound for pound, former champion Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley, an upcoming contender on a tear. He's got a really, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. He's got a really big personality. And the UFC could be doing so much more. Obviously, shocker, the UFC is doing literally nothing to promote their fights. And it's just beyond frustrating at this point because this fight night's special, man. You can be doing a press conference in Atlanta. It doesn't even have to be just them. It could be the co-main event as well. And just have the fans come ask questions, come build some hype, start trash talk, get some heat, get some build up, some storylines going on for this fight. Because I get it's a fight night, they're not going to go above and beyond. But even if they can't do that, literally, do a face-to-face with John Anik as the mediator. And then just give Joaquin Buckley a chance to make the most out of this moment. Build up the fight. You can get so many different sound bites and clips out of their face-to-face. You can get everyone laughing. He can get maybe underneath Kamaru's skin. Just I don't know, just build it up even more because obviously everyone knows this fight's going to be amazing, but it could have so much more attention and so many more eyes if it was promoted correctly. And it's really frustrating to see the UFC drop the ball continuously, time and time again, where it's just yeah, you literally go on their, I think it's Instagram or whatever, which is name one thing you like about your opponent. Or it's Nina Drama. And that's the thing, I like Nina Drama. It's not that. It's just, why can't we have Nina Drama and an intense face-to-face? You know what I'm saying? It's just very frustrating seeing the UFC not care. Especially with these really big milestone fights, where this is kind of all or nothing for Kamaru Usman. And Joaquin Buckley, this is his chance to prove that he belongs in the top 5. And he's championship material. So, I don't know, man. Whatever. Besides the point. So, getting into it, Kamaru Usman, he's 38. That's very old for these lower weight classes. You can kind of get away with that age at 205 or heavyweight. But as far as these weight classes, it's a young man's division. You need your speed. You need to be in your prime to be able to be in these top 5 positions. And I feel the speed is definitely going to be an impact for Kamaru Usman, and it's definitely going to be in Joaquin Buckley's favor. Because Joaquin Buckley, he's only 31. He's either approaching his prime or already in his prime right now. He's so hungry. He wants to prove himself. Whereas Usman, been there, got the t-shirt, and the odds reflect that. So Kamaru Usman, he is plus 225, whereas Joaquin Buckley, he's minus 278. And that's the thing. The odds makers are looking at Kamaru Usman's past fights. They're looking at Joaquin Buckley, how good he's been looking, the age and everything. But there's context behind Kamaru Usman's losses. But before we get into that, Kamaru Usman, he is 20 wins, 4 losses. Joaquin Buckley, 21 wins, 6 losses. And that's the thing. Out of those losses for Joaquin Buckley, a lot of those have been finishes. So people are acting like Joaquin Buckley is just going to steamroll Kamaru Usman. He is not invincible. You guys got to remember that. I know it's a lower weight class, but still. Anyways, height, Kamaru Usman is at 6 foot. Joaquin Buckley is at 5'10". If you've seen their face-to-face, you would know that there's definitely a height advantage for Usman. As far as reach, they're both at 76. Surprisingly, because generally you don't see often, if they're different heights, the same reach. But yeah, no major advantages in that regard. However, like I said, let's give context to Kamaru Usman's 3-fight losing streak. So, Kamaru Usman recently fought, or not recently, but his last fight was against Khamzat Chimaev. And that was in 2023 of October. And he got dominated in the first round. I get it. 100%. He got out-wrestled by Chimaev. But you got to remember, short notice, up a weight class. And that's the thing. People are like, oh yeah, look at that. But there's positives to take away from that. Who on this planet can maintain enough composure and wherewithal to have Khamzat Chimaev on your back for damn near 5 minutes and not get submitted? Like tell me. You know what I mean? So if anything, that fight, and not only that, after that round, I get Chimaev, I think he broke his hand or something like that, but still, Kamaru Usman was able to find his way back into that fight, especially with the striking, and people were saying that if that fight had another 2 rounds to it, Usman might win. And honestly, it's true. Like, he was coming on the later rounds, and obviously Chimaev was injured, so if he wasn't injured, it'd be a lot different. However, just showing that Kamaru Usman can get dominated for that 1 round and have, literally barely any answer for what Chimaev's doing aside from being able to defend himself and then build himself back up, that just goes, he still has the heart of a champion. So we can't forget about that. Then, so going back 2 fights, because it'll make sense, his first Leon Edwards fight, he was winning, I'd say 4 to 5 of those rounds, and he got knocked out at the end, right? So it kind of takes away from everyone's recollection of, it's like, okay, Usman was actually doing really well. It just, he got finished at the end. It is what it is. And then he comes back relatively soon for the rematch, where it was a close fight, but Leon got it done. And a lot of people were saying that he came back a little too soon. And that's the thing. Usman's never been like knocked out flat, like out cold like that before. So to come back, a lot of the mental adversity to go through that and to come back and believe in yourself, it definitely showed in the Leon Edwards rematch, because he wasn't like the regular Usman. You know what I mean? He was a little more reserved, and that's how Leon Edwards was able to itch out the decision. Now, saying all that, it is still 0-3, and that'll do a big number on your mental. Whether Usman can look at it from a positive or a negative perspective, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, you are an aging veteran with a 3-fight losing streak. So there's a lot, once again, for Usman to mentally overcome before he gets in this fight. Now, looking at Joaquin Buckley's recent 3 fights. So Joaquin Buckley, he beat Ruzaboyev, and this was in 2024 of May, and that was decision. Then he beat Stephen Thompson by KO. Now, I get Stephen Thompson was 41, and he's a little older. It is what it is, but for Joaquin Buckley to go in there and strike with one of the best strikers the welterweight division's ever seen, it's very impressive, especially to get a knockout. When's the last time Wonderboy's been knocked out, right? He's still, like, especially with the Kevin Holland fight and all that, Wonderboy showed that he still has it. Maybe not in his prime. Obviously, you can't be in your prime at 41, but still, like, Wonderboy is no walk in the park, especially if you're not like a Chimaev or someone, or like with like really like heavy wrestling skill set. So for Joaquin Buckley to get that done, really impressive. Then you got Colby Covington, where it was stopped by, I think in the 3rd or the 4th round or something like that. Joaquin Buckley looked amazing in that fight. There is one thing I do want to say though. Earlier on in the fight, Colby Covington was able to get him down and hold him on the ground for a little bit. And obviously, Joaquin Buckley had intention to get up, and he ended up getting back up. However, if Covington can get you down, so can Usman, right? And not only that, Covington has 0 knockout power, 0 power in his hands. He's a volume striker. He kind of uses as a tool to set up his takedowns. So Joaquin Buckley, as much as that was a really nice and great performance, it was Colby off short notice, and Colby is not exactly in his prime. And thinking that you can just tee off on Colby Covington, that's one thing. You cannot do that with Usman. Usman has the power to match Joaquin Buckley easily. I don't know who has, like 2% or 5% more power, but as far as it shows, like, Joaquin Buckley is able to get knockouts with his hands, and so is Usman. Look at George Masvidal, right? So I feel like Joaquin Buckley, getting into the matchup itself, I feel like Joaquin Buckley would be very, very foolish to get in the pocket with Usman and start boxing, especially early. I feel like Joaquin Buckley, what he needs to do is, obviously everyone knows Kamaru Usman's Achilles heel is his knees. And that's why he's more of like a plodding, like moving forward slowly, not this dynamic footwork. And he just pushes forward, and he goes for either a wrestling or generally like he tries to use his punches. He's not much of a kicker. Like, he will kick, but it's not one of his main tools. However, Joaquin Buckley, definitely the way more dynamic striker. He has all these crazy kicks. Like, you see the one that got him famous, where the guy grabbed his foot, he turned around and boom. Kamaru Usman will never, ever, ever do that. But that's just not Kamaru Usman's style. Whereas Joaquin Buckley, he has a lot better footwork. So if I'm Joaquin Buckley, like I said, go for a lot of those oblique kicks, get that knee, get Kamaru Usman worried about that knee, go for a lot of, like a kick-heavy approach. And then just kind of like in and out, kind of matador Usman. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him push you back. Kind of just keep circling and kick, 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 kick. Maybe like lunging for a jab or two, like a 1-2, like Robert Whittaker kind of combo, but do not stay in the pocket long. Whereas Usman, I feel like his approach, try to cut off Joaquin Buckley, try to bait him into an exchange, either try to get him into the pocket and try to swing with him, try to get him there. Because like I said, Joaquin Buckley is susceptible to being finished. And either that or start draining on him with the wrestling early. Get to it right away, because we haven't seen Joaquin Buckley tested multiple times in these 5-round fights. Whereas Usman, like I said, as much as he's getting older, he has the experience over Buckley. And for Kamaru Usman to get through these 5-round fights continuously, it just goes to show his championship battle and his championship mindset. Whereas I'm sure Joaquin Buckley won't have a big issue getting to the 4th and 5th round if it goes there. But I am worried in that sense for Buckley. Because if Kamaru Usman, like I said, if Colby can get you down, so can Usman. So if Usman can hold him against the cage or even get him on the ground and try to go for some ground and pound, that could be very risky for Joaquin Buckley. Because Buckley, he does have good takedown defense, but it's not impenetrable by any means. So as far as striking versus striking, I'd give the upper hand to Buckley. But as far as grappling, I'd give the upper hand to Usman. But I feel like Buckley, like I said, we got to remember, these younger guys are getting better each and every fight. Whereas these older guys, it's kind of like, a fine-tuning a bit here and there. But other than that, they're kind of like showing up the same way each time. Whereas I feel like Buckley's going to know his game plan. It's going to be, we can't trade with this guy earlier on. We can't. And we have to depend on the fact that Kamaru Usman is getting older and it's going to be ring rust. And we don't know if Kamaru Usman still has the cardio to go in those 5th rounds. As much as he does have the experience, it's a lot harder, especially at this age. Whereas Buckley, I feel like if Buckley's going to get him out of there, it'll be via like a head kick. Because I feel like Joaquin Buckley, he knows how dangerous Usman is, especially in those clinches, because I feel like if he gets in the clinch with Usman, Usman can easily reverse him and take him down. So I feel like Buckley's going to play the outside game with Usman for a lot, especially in the early rounds of this fight. And then I feel like Buckley can easily skirt around the outside. Like I said, matador him, kick, oblique kick, get rid of Kamaru Usman's base. If you kick the legs out from underneath him, Usman won't have enough power to like push off and go for these takedowns. So it'll be even more in your favor. And I feel like Joaquin Buckley's going to be able to keep Usman away from him, because those knees, like, they're just not going to be able to hold up in the later rounds. I really don't think they will be. And the problem is, too, Usman's already talking about what he's going to do after the fact. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go fight Islam Makhachev, and then I'm going to go fight Dricus. You cannot look or overlook Joaquin Buckley. And that's the thing. For my official decision, or official prediction, I feel like if it's going to go to decision, I feel like it's probably going to be, it's going to be close, but I feel like Buckley's going to have a bit more of an active output, and I feel like that's going to get him ahead, unless he gets dominated by the wrestling, but I doubt it. I feel like Joaquin Buckley will get taken down, but I feel like he has the skill set to get back up. I feel like if it's going to be by finish, it'll also be by Buckley. I just don't see Buckley making the same mistakes as he once did. Like I said, if he decides to go trade with Usman in the pocket in early rounds, then that's on him. And if he gets finished by that, then it is what it is. But if I had to make my official prediction, I would say Joaquin Buckley by 3rd or 4th round TKO. I feel like Joaquin Buckley's going to, like I said, he's not going to submit Usman. I think he's going to knock him down with either a head kick, or later on, he's going to start feeling more comfortable in the pocket, and Usman's going to start slowing down, and boom, 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 knock him down, and then ground and pound TKO. Usman definitely could win this fight if he plays it very smart, because, like I said, Joaquin Buckley is a stranger to these 5-round fights, and if Usman can drag him into the deep waters, he could have success for sure, but it's just, I feel like the momentum, everything's on Joaquin Buckley's side, And I just feel like it'd be better for the division if Joaquin Buckley wins as well, because as much as Usman has been a staple in that division and he is one of the legends, it's just there's not much like as far as matchups and longevity there is for Usman. So I feel like the UFC would much prefer Joaquin Buckley, younger, more of a personality. And that's the thing. He's a much flashier striker, so he's a much better sell than Usman, where he's more of a wrestler. And I get Usman's had a lot of boring fights in the past, but obviously Usman is still a very exciting fighter, especially the hardcores. But I feel like Joaquin Buckley, especially like he can appeal to the Atlanta crowd. He can get like a lot more attention with the mic skills, and I feel like he's a lot more of an intriguing matchup for Della Maddalena, because we've seen Della Maddalena interact with these wrestlers. He's defeated Bilal. He guaranteed he would mop the floor with Covington. So I feel like Joaquin Buckley's style presents a lot of new, fresh matchups in the division, and I'd really like to see him against the top 5, because I don't think he's going to get the title shot after beating Usman, because I feel like with Makhachev, they're going to fight late next year. And then with the whole Ramadan thing, I don't know what exactly it is, but I feel like people were saying that if Makhachev fights in later half of the year, then he'll be able to return it around like May or something like that. So Joaquin Buckley's definitely going to have to fight again. I guess we'll wait and see how the welterweight division gets matched up in the future. But yeah, sky's the limit for Joaquin Buckley. I really hope he wins. I'm rooting for him. And yeah, that's my prediction. Joaquin Buckley by finish, TKO, rounds 3 to 4. Thanks for watching very much. And see you guys on the next one.